communications and announcements. You have in your packet a letter from Adam Gandolfi and also a letter from Charter Communications. Under department and committee reports, you have your monthly wage-term water report, fire department report from Ron, Lynn's report, zoning administrator. Under planning commission, we need to consider approval of appointment of 2 planning commission members to serve 3-year terms ending December 31st. Have your building and grounds minutes. Pay commission sewer project. Under new business, under item A, we will be considering approval of the introduction of an ordinance to add chapter 54 to the Charter Township of Fire Code of Ordinances to prohibit ignition, discharge, and use of consumer fireworks within the township, except on certain days, to provide for penalties for violation thereof, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. Item B is consideration of a petition presented by residents of Hemper Lane again. We create a special assessment district for improving their private dirt road, upgrading it to a private recycled crushed asphalt road. Item C, consideration of approval of a resolution of the township pursuant to resolution number 2001-06A and Public Act 1954, Public Act 188, as amended, redetermining the total cost of services for the year 2014 and directing the supervisor to extend such costs upon the maximum point special assessment role. And item D, Fire City fire hydrant replacement. Any questions or additions to the meeting agenda?
I so move.
Second.
Motion to approve the meeting agenda by Cruz, support by Kolonowski. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under consideration of approval of the consent agenda, on the consent agenda we have minutes of the regular board meeting held November 5th, 2013. Item B is the financial report. C, approval of township general fund expenditures, including fire department checks, numbering 3704 through 3799. Accounts payable totaling $31,616.27. Payroll totaling $13,221.88 for a grand total of $44,838.15. Item D is approval of water department expenditure checks 1948 through 1958 totaling $14,095.77. Item E, we have the appointment of Jack Hall to the Board of Appeals for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2016. There was only 1 vacancy and 1 applicant. And item F is appointment of Phil Peralta and Ed Williams to the Downtown Development Authority for 4-year terms ending December 31st of 2017. There were 2 vacancies on the DDA and 2 applicants. Item G is appointment of Tom Williams to the Building and Grounds Committee for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2017. Again, there was only 1 vacancy and Tom was the only applicant. Item H is approval of a budget amendment transferring $70,000 from the Water Department fund balance to the Water Department transfer out account. Any questions, additions, deletions on the consent agenda? If not, I'll take a motion for approval. Is there a second to the motion? Approval or motion by Scarra to approve the consent agenda, second by Lachinsky. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment.
It's not really a public comment, but I just want to introduce myself. My name is Mark Solden. I just started at the road commission, so I'm basically the new manager for the Manistee County Road Commission. It's actually my second day on the job, so I want to at least stop by and try to make a lot of the township meetings. I believe starting in January myself and probably a couple of the commissioners, we're going to typically make the rounds to all 14 townships. And just a brief history, I basically spent 29 years in weight trim in Bay City, which most of my background is road and bridge design work. And then I worked until recently for the Gladwin County Road Commissioner as a manager. And then, just as of recently, I just started working for the Manistee County Road Commission. And, definitely looks like a nice part of the state. And, I'm looking forward to, working with all of you, on future projects and whatnot. So just, feel free to call the Road Commission if you have any questions on anything. So, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Department and committee reports. Any other public comment before we move on? Okay. Department and committee reports. You had an opportunity to look at the water report from Wade Trim. Fire department report, we understand Ron is an emergency tonight, will not be here. Under the office of the zoning administrator, wind report is in there. You can see there's been some activity. I thought I saw Lynn come in.
She did.
Yeah. I don't know, do you have anything to add to that report, Lynn?
No, not really.
Okay. Planning Commission, Shirley, is there anything you want to talk about with the Planning Commission before I make a recommendation?
Only that we were on the agenda, we will be addressing fireworks ordinance.
That comes with the recommendation from the plan.
Okay, then at this time, we've had application of two individuals to continue on with the Planning Commission. Their terms were up, and there were no other applicants. We have applicants Rick Mark and Roger Dittmer applying for Planning Commission terms, serving 3 years ending December 31st, 2016. So first of all, I would like to have you consider my recommendation appointing Rick Mark for the 3-year term ending December 31st, 2016.
I will make that motion. I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Skira, motion by Ball, second by Skira to accept the supervisor's recommendation in the appointment of Rick Mark to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2016. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Secondly, I would like to recommend Roger Dittmer for the other Planning Commission position with the 3-year term ending again on December 31st, 2016. Is there a motion to? Second. Motion by Cruz, second by Kalinowski to approve the supervisor's recommendation of Roger Dittmer for a 3-year term on the Planning Commission ending December 31st, 2016. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. You have the building and grounds minutes in your packet. Do you have any questions on that, or is there anything that you would like to add on the building and grounds?
Well, I hope we get the weather works with
consumers, the power will be off for a while as we get our new generator up and running. So the hall is normally closed on Thursday anyway, but it will be totally closed down during our power outage. I think you're going to be here to let the guys from Top Line know.
So it's, we gotta work fast, it should be going.
Yeah. Anything else, Ed?
We still get back on that repair of the rec center, didn't we?
The last I looked, he hadn't started his repair job yet.
I think we had to make a map of all the dry wells, update.
We've got that, that's been updated, yeah, I'm just waiting on a bill from the city.
We're set for the winter.
And we have no written proposal yet on the water meters.
That's right. That's in the water department.
Yeah, Lynn and I will be meeting on this Friday morning at 10 o'clock with Mark Fowler to, get some input from him on the 3 water meters that we're kind of looking at and considering right now.
So what kind of meter are we gonna go to?
Those were all,
Where we can download it?
they're all the same brand, Neptune, they're all Neptune meters, they're just three different models, some a little more advanced and more technology attached to them than others, and they vary in prices. The Building and Grounds Committee looked at the 3, and they kind of felt that the middle price one that, off the top of my head now, I want to say is $107 per meter, is the one that they felt would suit our needs, and the representative from Michigan Meter, he also felt that that would serve our needs. So we're going to get more information on Friday from Mark Fowler, and then come back to the board probably with a recommendation in January.
What is it our old meters have in them that is going after the first of the year, we can't use them?
Lead.
Lead, yeah.
Okay, Dale or Dean, do you have anything on pay commission?
Well, we
Carol technically is on it. I can tell you
That's right.
Well, we've been reviewing, we're going to go through the process of reviewing our mission statement and revamping the current website, make it easier for people to get into that, and updating the logo. So it's, because they're, we want to get, more people watching it, get it a little more exciting and easier for people to go online and find out what we're doing, what we're about. And of course, we're always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for, people want to learn how to tape. In fact, they told it would take like 5-10 minutes to show someone how to do it. And I asked them how hard it would be. It doesn't look too bad when we went down to the taping room down there, and they showed everything. So some new stuff coming out too.
Good. I know there have been times when I've tried to go on and watch a city council meeting or a township meeting, and sometimes I don't have any trouble getting a meeting, and other times I can't seem to get it. I don't know why.
You can notice the commissioners now being taped.
That's right. Yeah.
I was just saying that one commissioner told us one time it never happened, but it is.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yes, that's something.
What are we gonna do about our sound?
Yeah, we talked.
I have so many complaints, people can't hear our meetings.
You were
We
gonna.
tried this once before, if you recall. I put that in, Shirley reminded me that never worked very well. I'm showing the background of the paper and everything else, and all the way the
The
system.
microphone.
Yeah,
Did you have a microphone here in the middle?
yeah, that's the one. We had it one time. But a
I
lot of
think an
people,
omnidirectional light in the middle would pick up the paper so much, but,
Yeah, that,
That was a few years back.
yeah.
Technology's changed.
well, what should we do?
And I know in some meetings earlier, I've seen a mic, I don't know if it was remote or what, sitting on the table there directed this way, and I kind of wondered if something like that just placed at the center of the U here, at the beginning of the U, if that one would pick up everybody's voices better. Something maybe to explore with
I'll have to talk to Kate.
We can go with Dean and
Dale.
Dale. Yes, come back with something the next meeting.
Well, we're meeting every month now too.
So that don't mean nothing.
Well, we only meet every 2 months, so that's why some stuff didn't get done right away, you know?
Okay,
So now it'll be a little quicker.
government is awful slow.
We are down one pay commission member. He was on it, but he did not submit his renewal application because he forgot.
But he's still having his arm twisted. I think he's still considering it.
We can direct them.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe I'll just do paperwork for him and vote me in again.
Okay, we'll look for that at the next meeting.
We'll get ahead.
Sounds good. Under the item G sewer project, we did have a report from Brian Sousa of Wade Trim during the DDA meeting, and information was disseminated. And so, in the application for the SAW grant was submitted about a week prior to the deadline of yesterday. So that's in the works, and we're moving forward. I don't know if there's anything, Brian, you'd like to add at this time?
You know, I can either give the quick spiel I gave at the DDA meeting, or field questions, or stay seated and be quiet. It's up to the board.
Well,
Would like to hear it.
I think, yeah, we have time, and there are new people in the audience that weren't here for the DDA meeting, and that would be good.
Okay. Good evening, Brian Sousa from Wade Trim. Appreciate your time this evening. I was at the DDA meeting and handed out the same information that's kind of going around right now. I know some of the members for the Township Board were in the audience and received a copy of that. But essentially what's going around right now is the work plan that was attached with the contract that we have with the DDA. And that kind of lays out some of the steps that we're going to do as part of our work. I'll go over those in detail here in a second. And it also has a couple milestones and some public meetings involved with it, so that we can get information out to the public, which is the best way to approach a project like this. Sewer projects are always contentious from one side or the other. So the best way to try and alleviate some of that tension is to keep information out there, take information from the public, make adjustments, and things of that nature. So this is really the beginning of all of that. Just so you know, what we were asked to do is take a step back. I know you've had a design completed, you get applied for project funding for rural development. What the DDA has asked us to do is take a step back. All right, take a look at, forget about the design that was done. We'll get to that in a second. But take a look at the township. Where should those service areas be? How should we break those service areas up into phases? Take a review of the contract that the township has with the city for accepting the wastewater. Make comment on that. Provide information on a wastewater treatment plant that would just serve the township. Basically give you a lot of information that the new board, this board, and the DDA can then take forward and say, all right, we're making decisions on a host of information that we have now. So that's really our approach to this next step. So with that, the work plan that you have in front of you is developed. I'll just talk about those briefly. I mentioned develop the service areas. I know that the commercial corridor is probably on the forefront of the minds of the township, but there are other areas that can be served in the future, the close residential areas, some of the industrial area possibly. But essentially, we're going to develop a service area map, district map, that will show those service areas for the wastewater treatment or wastewater collection. and then take that map and break it into phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, whatever those numbers are, with the township board, with the DDA. What we want to do is get your input on where you think would be best served, we will provide our input, and have it as a back and forth discussion. Okay, what I don't want to do is come to the meetings and say, we did it all for you, this is the direction we're going, I want input from the township. So. I'm going to just stick to the blue, the highlighted items, steps 1, step 2. I know there's bullets underneath those, but those are just one more detail. Project phasing, I mentioned that. We'll break those into phases. And costs associated with those. Okay, so you'll know how much each phase would cost. And part of doing that, we need to know how many users would be in each phase, how would we pay for that phase, what would the user rates be, how would it affect the system as a whole. So it's not just a blanket, throw that down, draw some sewer line. There's a lot of work that goes in, and thought that goes into that. So. Once we get to that point as a group, then hold a public meeting. Okay, present that information, take comments from the public, okay, mark up the map, and then once we get, the group has a chance to mull that over, make the adjustments as deemed necessary from that meeting. Okay. Once we're done with that, then we jump into the wastewater treatment side of things. Reviewing the contract that you have with the city and making comment on that, and also taking a look at opportunities for your own wastewater treatment plant. Where would that be? What would that cost? How would that affect the users? How would that compare to taking your wastewater to the city? Okay, giving you that information. And then from that, discussing also the operation and maintenance side of your own system. A lot of times that's something that's shadowed and not really brought up to the end, but you need to know that there is a real cost, not only for operating it, but also for employees, whether you want to hire your own employees, whether you want to contract that work out like you do with the water system, whether you want the city to take care of it. There's a whole host of opportunities for that. But it's just a side of the project that people seem to forget until the end, and I want to make sure you guys understand the ramifications of moving forward and what some of those costs might be associated with that. And then finally, step 5, discuss project funding. Rural development, I know you've applied for that, but there's also the SAW grant, which we talked about earlier. MEDC funding, if there's job creation or job retention, EDC, EDA, there's a host of opportunities for project funding. And I know Tim Urban at the DDA meeting had mentioned they were talking about a DDA director and the potential to bring in some opportunities through that. So you'll probably hear more about that in the future. But anyway, part of what we'll do will be to review opportunities for project funding else, including the rural development that you've already applied for. And I've already talked with rural development about the status of the application and the money that's been obligated to the project and things of that nature. So we'll see it on a weekly basis. And then hold another public meeting at the end. Okay, this is where we've gotten. This is all the information. Take comments, make adjustments. Again, try and keep it transparent. Try and keep it out in the open so everybody has a chance to comment. And see what's going on. So, any questions on that?
Okay, all right, thank you, Brian.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, under new business, item A, we have consideration of approval of the introduction of an ordinance to add chapter 54 to the Charter Township Regulatory Ordinances to prohibit the ignition, discharge, and use of consumer fireworks within the township except on certain days, to provide for penalties for violation hereof, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. I know this is something the Planning Commission has been working on with Richard for some time now. And this comes to us from the Planning Commission as a recommendation that we adopt this.
Yeah, this is pictures.
Yeah.
There was a lot of difficulty understanding what consumer fireworks were. So here you have pictures of what it is and what it is not. It's not that stuff.
This ordinance will regulate the fireworks that are called legal consumer fireworks, just on the top of this page. The stuff below that, the low impact fireworks and the novelties, you can let off anytime you want to. So, get yourself in line. been our experience as municipal attorneys that uniformly, every municipality that we've represented has received a large number of complaints about consumer fireworks, particularly after 11 o'clock midnight. I know my dogs hate the 4th of July now because of fireworks that go off all night long.
And several days preceding,
Exactly. That will still happen, but at least after 1 a.m. now, we can prohibit them 5 Township.
I have a question, how do you enforce
It's issue a ticket, just like you enforce.
Who
Who's
issues the
gonna do
ticket?
that, yeah?
Sheriff's Department has a contract with the township to enforce all of our ordinances. So we file a complaint, they go issue a ticket.
What do you do with 1, 2, and 1? The only reason why it's my property was appreciated. It could be any time of the year, any time of the day or night. Once fireworks are available, we shoot rockets in the air, the big boom stuff goes off, whatever. And the question is, how do you enforce that? Township only has so many policemen. They're on dirt bikes, they're on whatever, 4-wheelers. And I mean, that's just one example.
Well,
If you have an ordinance, you ought to have enforceable.
It is enforceable. I mean, it's enforced. I mean, it's enforced as a civil infraction, just like just because you have difficulty enforcing it has never been, in my view, a legitimate reason not to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. I mean, just because you can't catch every bank robber doesn't mean we should legalize bank robbery.
Anyway, this is an introduction. We introduce it, it'll get published, and we'll come back to us again at our next meeting for possible adoption.
So this is just the introduction.
Thank you.
How about those poor Explore journeyman's who use it at Christmas?
The what?
In Florida, they use fireworks at Christmas.
Oh, well,
Wouldn't be able to do that anymore, would they?
I don't know if Christmas is one of the holidays.
National holiday.
Is it?
There was somewhere, there was a listing of them, but I don't think that
They don't have, they're not in
it
here.
was in a planning commission tab.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure.
Oh,
There's 10 days, there's 10 holidays.
a religious holidays.
Christmas.
So like on New Year's, they can still light up.
Pardon?
On New Year's, they can still light up.
Up to 1 a.m.
Till 1 a.m.?
See, this ordinance prohibits any fireworks, any consumer fireworks, other than the day of, the day before, and the day after, the 10 holidays that the state law says we can't regulate the discharge of this material, other than between the hours of 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. So what this ordinance does, it says, they're already prohibited, this ordinance prohibits them other than on those 3 days, and then on those 3 days, after, between 1 a.m. and 8 a.m., you can't let these off. So you'll still have people shooting off fireworks, but they've got to stop at 1 o'clock in the morning.
And that's because of the change in the state law.
State law,
That was just
right.
before the 4th of July.
And state law already prohibits the discharge of these fireworks on any sort of public property, streets, and so on. So, and I know we had a question about that. Somebody said that, in fact, Ron Bukowski called me and said, contrary to popular opinion, we were not shooting fireworks off the fire station last year. So that was a rumor that had run around the planning commission at the last meeting, was that the fire department had been shooting these off from the fire station. And Ron called me to assure me that they had not done that. So,
No, it didn't come from there.
Is this the same as the city?
I don't know what the city of Manistee has done. It's the same as the city of Ludington. We adopted or changed the city of Ludington's code to basically do the same thing. This is the maximum that you can do under the revisions to the state law that were adopted just about 3 days before the 4th of July this year. too late to get anything done for the 4th of July this year.
So do we need a motion for approval, Richard, or do we?
A motion to introduce it, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
approval of the introduction.
I'll motion.
I think that's support that, it should be very worthwhile.
I'll support it.
Motion by Skier, second by Ball, to approve the introduction of this ordinance to add chapter 54 to our township code of ordinances. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item B, consideration of a petition presented by the residents of Himker Lane requesting the creation of a special assessment district for the purpose of improving the private road, upgrading it to a private recycled crushed asphalt road. And in the package, you have the letter from Ethan Holmes representing the Himker Lane residents, and then attached those who have signed the petition, and also a copy of the proposal from Schultz Excavating. And I guess for starters, I did meet with Pete and Joe and Roger back in November, early part of November, and we discussed this. And this is a fairly significant change from the petition they brought to the board the last time. And I did contact Wayne, the County Road Commission, and discussed that briefly with him, and let him know what this proposal from Schultz included, and he indicated to me that we didn't have a great deal of time to talk about it. It was over the phone because he didn't have to wait to the meeting. But he said he did like the use of milled asphalt millings, and this calls for 4 inches thick for the entire road, 16 feet width, whereas the other proposal, the previous proposal, I believe, was 2.5 inches of asphalt at a width of 12 feet. So this, Wayne, just very briefly, what we discussed, he seemed to, support this proposal to some extent, but I wanted him to hear further and suggested that Joe or Pete rather meet with him at the road commission. I understand that he did that.
Yeah, we did. We passed over an hour.
Okay.
He was extremely supportive. He uses material himself in the past and didn't have any issue with it.
Good.
Other than make sure the road is graded properly so the water run off. No accumulation.
I know one thing that he mentioned in our discussion was the fact that it does compact well if the weather's warm. And then, of course, during the course of the summer driving on it and everything, it'll get further compacted. The concern is, the center of the road, it doesn't get driven on as much. Because my concern was how much does this get graded off then during the winter and plowing? And he said that can happen, and you just need to make sure that that you don't have it crowned in the middle too much, so that
Well, we had a little discussion about plowing.
did you okay?
The topic of using a belly plow came up, they were using a plow and pick, and just today.
Okay.
So you don't have to scrape bottom, you didn't have to. You can leave an inch or so, etc. So anyway, I guess these places will be there, and take care of the issues. We're gonna take this time for an hour, we're anxious to do that as we did.
You seem to think that that product that we're asking for is pretty good for the money for what we're paying for.
Did he feel it would hold up for, length of time?
He made a couple suggestions that maybe after a year we could have that,
CO.
that they call it like maybe a chip seal or something like that. Maybe do that, or maybe have them come back with that compact roller, that back end roller, and take the crown or whatever.
Right.
And he said, he thought it would hold up pretty good. They're not gonna put a crown in the road, they're just gonna slant it just a little bit to one side. And so you can kind of flat.
Oh, okay. And you've got the new road commission director there.
I think with the crushing material, it makes for, a lot of times we'll do what they call a crushing, shaping, resurfacing job, or say if you have an existing blacktop pavement that's in very poor condition, you pretty much pulverize it and turn it back to gravel, and then regrade and compact it, and then you pave over. Now, the one thing that does make, this is just a private road, correct? 16 feet wide is what's proposed. It'll make for a good, solid material. Now, the one thing in the future you have to remember is if you have to do some grading on it, if you have to regrade it, it's pretty hard to regrade. Sometimes they have to actually come in with a grader, like with scarifier teeth, to kind of loosen up the material, to regrade and compact it. Because we've done many, many miles of what they call the crushing, shaping, regrading. So if you've got traffic on it for a while, and then, prior to paving it, a lot of times we have to send graders out, scarifying teeth to pretty much re-loosen it up, to regrade it and compact it. But it does make, if it's just for a private road, I don't know how many residents you have, but it's, well made for a, really good, roadway. People get there. Right, and I'm sure, I assume it's just like a low volume, almost like a glorified driveway. Okay. Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of people use like for the driveways and that, the recycled material, because it does, harden up, because you have the blacktop material mixed in with it. So once you get warm weather, it will really, make a, good solid surface. But like anything, it really depends on what type of base you have, underneath that material. So yeah, for that type of application, I'm sure it's good, but you want to, like I said, bear in mind that if you do have some distortion and you need to regrade, it's not as easy as regrading like a gravel driveway or a gravel roadway. So that's one thing. So.
And this proposal is what, just a little more than half of what the first proposal that you came with? As I recall, that one was around 52,000.
So what's our first step, Richard?
Well, a couple things. You have in front of you a resolution that I've prepared, tentatively declaring your intent to make this improvement on the public road, or on the private road pursuant to Public Act 188. We would need to set a public hearing. We've got to publish this notice twice in the newspaper, in the newspaper. Once 10 days prior to the public hearing. We have to give notice by mail to everybody in the proposed special assessment district according to their taxable address, at least 10 days prior to the public hearing. And one thing that it's not in the resolution, but I would suggest that we do, and that is allow me to have, what used to be Manistee Abstract and Title Company, it's not a White House Manistee or whatever the title company is. I'd like to confirm the existence of that easement and make sure that only the people that are going to be in the special assessment district have rights rights in the easement, because if there are more private rights in that easement than will be in the special assessment district, we may have an issue about paving over somebody's easement without their permission, and obviously we don't want to do that. The township will hold this contract. I mean, this will be a contract from the township for this job. So, I mean, it's important that we know that we're not putting this, you know, when we've got a full easement that we can put this road on. And then, of course, we'll assess the whole cost of that back to the property owners.
So are we not going to do this resolution?
No, I mean, I can get the title work done, you know, before the public hearing. I'm sure that, assuming that I indicated we pushed the public hearing sometime in January, so that'll give us time to get that information put together.
Can you talk briefly about the assessment portion of this?
I'm sorry?
Approved? How would the cost be assessed to the property owner?
The cost will be assessed based essentially on the front foot basis.
Not gonna work.
Well, that's what the law requires, so,
Well, let's stay.
yeah, well, that's the law we have to follow.
Not necessarily, this is private property. No way I'm gonna come up with $10,200 to pay a section of road that everybody uses. And the guy down the end pays $1,500. That makes sense.
Is that changeable if everybody would be agreeable to a different money?
If you get 100% of the property owners, I'll assess you any way you want to, but other than that, it's on the basis of front foot, because that's how it's benefited.
So I get two property owners. The South of Gray is essentially funding half of this project. And there's a bunch of other people that use it.
Okay, well, that's right, Apple. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, that's right. I'll just pretend this is
I'm talking about those parcel A and B with the window, and parcel M.
and parcel what?
Parcel M,
Parcel N? Okay.
1,048 feet, and mine is 1,241 feet. And the rest is 4,500 feet.
Right.
So I'm saying from the standpoint of fairness, I don't think that's the
Well,
Now, if you have everybody, divide the total by the number of residents, that's a different story.
right, but that's not the petition that we received. The petition that we received is to simply make the improvement on the public road, or on the private road.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm saying pay for the assessment. Assess it evenly over the number of residences, the residents of that property. In other words, it divides the default instead of the minimum fee.
I don't think it's a regional statute.
I think the same thing was done in South Cherry Road.
Right. We had an agreement signed by all the property owners on Cherry Road to assess that equally.
$10,200, it hasn't moved grind for 50 years. It costs them about $300 a year, one section of the road.
MCL 247.392 says upon receipt of a petition, the township board of any township may enter into a contract or make such maintenance or improvement regarding the public road with the allocation of cost to be spread against all of the owners in the district benefiting on a pro rata frontage basis. Period. Such improvement and assessment of cost shall not be completed until the township board has created a special assessment district and assessed the properties with proper notice of public hearing to all of the owners within the special assessment district to be benefited thereby. And then the next section, 247.393, says that all of those procedures have to be done in accordance with Public Act 188, which is what this process uses. So
So they need to get a agreement format of a letter stating they would like the different.
They're going to have to prepare a binding contract to do that.
A binding contract where
Binding all 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 parcels.
would agree to equal
Equal assessment.
So the way it stands now, I'll be paying, I'll be assessed up to $10,200, and the owner possibly should pay $400. Based on what, that sounds like a hell of a deal to me. I guess I'll say. So the entitlement to the lane is utilized by a lot of us as reflected here. So I don't see why not everybody should be subject to providing funds to support that.
Well, these are.
I know you read some numbers up, and that's fine. I appreciate you doing that. I'm saying from a fairness aspect, it's not fair.
And Joe, I can appreciate what you're saying in terms of fairness from your point of view. Now, if everybody on Hemker Lane, has the same opinion that what's fair is an equal assessment on everybody,
No, that's what I would advocate.
then you can go with it.
Call forward to divide, 12 into $58,000, $28,000, comes up to $2,200 a piece.
And it sounds like that's what they want, but if that's what you need some kind of a binding contract before we can even think about allowing that, that's what they'll have to do.
Are we on the same wavelength? The 13 residents are in agreement to spread this cost equally among all 13?
I talked to all 13, and they said if we get the special assessment, they'll go with that if it's divided by 13.
Okay. So then the only thing we need is a binding contract to that effect? Yep.
Do I have to go out and take that petition back up?
Well, there's two ways we can do this. I mean, I'm keeping a separate tab of legal fees on this project for the township, and we're going to roll those fees into the assessment. I can prepare the contract, and that will just go in part of the assessment. Or the residents can go hire their own attorney, which I would prefer. They can go hire their own attorney, put whatever contract together they want to put together. I don't want to be in a position of dictating to them what their contract should say, what it shouldn't say. They may have additional issues about long-term maintenance because, once this road is in, it's not the township's problem. If they get potholes, if they need to resurface it, if they need to do whatever it is they need to do, they're going to have to deal with that by themselves. And they may want to look at putting some of that long-term maintenance cost issues into their contract. But I represent the township, so I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. But the property owners will pay for this one way or the other.
Is our tab running right now? Or?
No, not right now, it's not. No. But it ran while I prepared this resolution.
But that's the start of it,
Right.
regardless of what their money
Right.
arrangement is.
No, I'm not going to bill you for this. This I bill the township for this. I'm just keeping costs separate so that the township has the right under the statute to put these costs into this project. And it's not fair for the other residents of Fiber Township to have to pay the township's attorney's fees to benefit the 13 property owners that will benefit by this project. That's why we do that. There's also going to be an interest cost on some of this. We've got to, I mean, the township essentially has to loan you the $23,000 or whatever it was, $28,000 to do this. You know, and so we don't loan people money for nothing. And that interest cost is you know, going to get passed on to you as well. Now, if you want to pay your assessment the day it hits the rolls, you can do that, or we'll spread it out probably over 5 years. You can pay it off over 5 years plus interest. But that's how special assessments work.
Somebody care to say something? Where do we go from here?
So we can go forward, but it sounds like there's nothing in the petition that I saw that said.
Sounds like if we went forward now, based on his frontage,
Correct.
and if you want to make some other arrangement, then we need to come with some other agreement and provide a document for that.
Well, I calculated, I don't know how many front feet I calculated on this. Because you said it was roughly 3,400 feet, so double that is 6,800 feet.
6,914.
Is that the length on both sides? Yeah. So it's pretty close. Yeah, that's going to be $4, roughly $4 a foot. Yeah.
I just think you said you get out of the middle of the road, you go up and down both sides and get another. So you have 3,400 feet, when you went down the center line of the road. Really even goes up. I think about 3,400 based on the one drive to 30 feet.
So I think where we're at, I think where we're at is we can go forth with this resolution if you wish, but to have it assessed evenly among the 13 property owners, then you would have to come back with a binding contract from them to that effect.
Would that be, Terry, would that be something like another petition that I take out and sign, or have them sign? Is that good enough, or do I have to go through a lawyer? Like, just like those signatures,
The petition you have now is adequate to get us moving, if that's what you want us to do.
But he's saying if he takes the same petition and just adds that language in
No.
there, that it's a new one.
No, I know that's different things, I can't just take that out and have them sign it, is that good enough?
No, you need a contract. I need something that's going to be a binding contract on all of the owners, and, you know, a petition isn't a contract.
Well, I would probably have to tell them how much it's going to cost them, how much your fees are going to be, and I mean, I can't keep going back and forth, you know, like, I don't know how much you're going to charge, how much you're going to charge interest, I don't have any data or anything. How can I do that?
So I'm just trying to give you an estimate of what.
Is an estimate good enough for a contract?
Are you asking me how much I would charge you to draw up that contract?
Well, I want to know the township. Like, if you're the township, yes, you. But I want to know what can I ask on the contract?
I think on the contract, he would have to specify X amount of dollars, which divided by 13, then plus
Whatever
the
maintenance issues.
interest,
Right.
et cetera, and that's what you're looking for, an estimate what that plus is going to be. I don't know if we can give you a ballpark figure.
You're probably looking $500 for a fairly simple contract, but, I mean, that's what I said before, I don't want to get into the middle of this property owner versus that property owner over how much I'm going to pay 10 years from now to put seal coat on this road, or what happens if, who's going to pay for the snow plowing?
Also, this is a continuing thing then, for maintenance.
Well, somebody's going to have to maintain it, because the township doesn't maintain this. I mean, the township will build the road, but
I didn't know if this was going to constitute from today on to any kind of maintenance we need to have. I didn't know that.
It's something we have to pay for.
Yeah,
well, yeah, I mean,
I thought that'd be something totally new again. I didn't know this.
what, the maintenance?
Yeah.
Well, it is. I'm just telling you, you're going to need to maintain the road. You're going to need to plow it. You're going to need to fix the holes and do whatever it is you do, but that is not something that the township is going to do.
Right.
But I think Pete is saying, is it necessary to put all that maintenance, all those details in this contract that he's
No,
trying to get from?
if I was them, I would certainly do that.
Yes.
But, I mean,
But that is
because these issues are better addressed now and not later, when there's a big pothole in front of your house, but there's no pothole in front of my house, and I don't want to fix the pothole that's in front of your house.
How is your current maintenance handled of the road? How is that?
Association dues.
Through dues?
And I have a tractor with blade, and then we volunteer to do it on our own.
Yeah.
It can't be where it doesn't say, If I got a pothole in something, I can get it else. You gotta listen to
Well, I mean, if the property owners want to go, like you have in the past, and just count on the kindness of strangers, to plow their road, that's perfectly fine with me.
What happens when you can't plow? Something happens to it.
We just have no legal authority to maintain a private road.
I know that. That's what I'm saying to these people.
I see.
They said, I'm gonna do it, well, no, that, you don't know that.
But for
And this is the same stuff we talked about before.
But for us, all we need
But to
is a
move
contract from them.
Well, we can move forward, we can say, yeah, go ahead.
That they're going to each pay an equal share.
Yes, we can move forward, because the method by which you assess this does not get established in this resolution. This resolution simply says you're tentatively declaring your intent to create a special assessment district. The law says you have to assess this on a per-front basis. I'm saying that if everybody agrees and signs a contract that says assess me equally, I'm willing to go with that, because there isn't anybody that's then going to be able to object to the fact that we didn't assess them on the basis of the front footage. In other words, we've eliminated all the potential adverse claimants for not following that section of the law.
So if we go with that, do this resolution here that's been created, and they go back to the 13, and there's one of them that doesn't want the equal thing, we don't have to go any further.
We don't have to go any further. No?
I want to say this, it's really 12, not 13.
12 owners,
Yes.
but there's 13 lots. in
There's
there.
13.
13 parcels.
Parcel A and B is one parcel.
You know,
Once you check the equalization out,
did it from
So A and B are one lot now?
Okay. Well,
But we aren't obligated to go any further if
no, this,
if they can't.
all this is the first public hearing.
But do we want to do this resolution of intent, go to all of that trouble, if they aren't going to do it to agree right away about the equal share? You can't do
There's a
it.
contract. If we did this for Cherry Road, we must have a copy of that Cherry Road contract or someplace, or I have it somewhere.
Cherry Road's been paid for a number of
I
years.
don't know where it is, but someplace I might have a copy. And then you guys can, plagiarize it.
How can we help?
We'll have to find one.
But not
Yeah.
something-
See
cost them years ago when I was going through things. The last one just got paid off. The last 4 years maybe, but we have to keep them for many, many years. So I know I have it somewhere. Back there. In the box.
I just don't want to see throw a lot of money at something that.
Pete, is your feeling at this time that the 12 property owners would agree to an equal assessment?
There's 13 lots, and I got, I got a yes vote from everybody if we divide it equally by 13.
Okay.
But I don't have a contract or anything like that.
Yeah, okay.
But they'll go, doing it that way.
Yeah.
And I just.
Well, we can look here for a copy of the contract that was done on Cherry Road, and if it's something that can be
Updated.
revised to fit their needs.
You've only done the engineering on Cherry Road, remember?
I don't remember.
He wasn't involved.
Well, that ain't that far, many years.
He wasn't on the board. He was started.
Why was?
You were. Sure.
Yeah, surely that's the way. And the county paid for that.
No, was the intention with that estimate right here is I just put a crushed blacktop material down for the roadway? Or did that also include what you're considering as maybe like a chip seal on top of that? Okay. Okay. Because you want to bear in mind that there's the intent that eventually you want to chip seal it. Like if you're going to do a rural county road, like say 22 feet wide, it's roughly like $22,000 a mile for a chip seal. Okay, so you want to really look at your, what we say, long-term maintenance too. Just like blacktop pavements, when you have a good base for a roadway, good, gravel base and whatnot, you put a blacktop pavement down, you might get, good soils, 15 to 20 years service life, off of good blacktop pavement, depending on your pavement conditions. But if you are considering, chip sealing that road in the near future, after you put the crushed material down, if you're doing an assessment, that's something you may want to consider, because obviously if it costs maybe another $15,000 or whatever, which is roughly about 3/4 of a mile, you want to at least be aware of that, because if you're doing the original assessment, and all of a sudden you decide a year or two down the road you want to chip seal it, and you're going to be getting into more costs, and then, like I said, long-term maintenance too. Like I said, if you have to come back, if you just put down the crushed material, and then you need to hire a contractor with a grader with a scarifier to kind of, loosen up the material and then regrade it, that's going to be a cost also, for the project. So I think you just want to consider things like that. So all of a sudden, like they indicate, all of a sudden you've got big potholes in one area, that's the only one in the entire roadway, and who's going to pay for it? So.
Jack, it sounds like you have an association out there?
We do.
Does the association have the ability to impose assessments on the property owners, or?
Pretty loose association.
It's not.
Pretty loose, okay, it's not real.
It's basically like used for snow plowing, pretty much.
Okay.
Minor repairs.
And yeah, a few don't pay that, so.
That's always a problem.
So what would the board like to do? You want to move forward with this resolution?
Well, this resolution is going to set some other things in motion, which is going to cost more money. They come back, they don't agree, or something. You already get by 12 or 13.
Well, it sounds to me like, they've had the discussions with the property owners, and they have the support of the property owners for dividing this equally, the cost equally among them.
We'll still need to do something about it.
Right, right. But but that's, from what Richard's saying, if we go forth with this resolution, then the ball's in their court to come back with a contract to that effect, that the residents will share equally in the cost. The property owners will share equally.
All this resolution does is obligates the whole public hearing. Typically, what you would do is at the conclusion of that public hearing, you would adopt the second resolution that establishes the district, establishes the formula by which the assessment will be spread across the district, whether, in the case of the sewer, it's based on REUs, or in the case of a street like this, it's on the basis of front footage. You don't have to adopt the second resolution immediately after the conclusion of the public hearing. There's nothing that says you can't do 3 months before you adopt.
Give them more time.
And give them more time if they need time to, get their group together, and all thinking in the same direction.
I'll make a motion that we just accept that we go ahead with this.
We adopt this resolution.
And we adopt this, it gives them a chance then to get their ship righted.
Get started.
And get us the information back that we need to go on.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right.
And all I would need is a date for the public hearing.
Right.
Now you could do that at the next Township board. You said you can't have it 6:15, whatever your board meeting is, January.
And, well, we have a January calendar. January the 7th
January 7th is the next board meeting.
at 5:30, half hours for now.
We got the DDA.
We got the DDA meetings.
Budget's,
The budget is February at 5.
Tim, the DDA is meeting at
4 o'clock.
or
on the 7th?
Yeah,
Yes.
at 4 o'clock, but we'll be adjourned by 6 o'clock when your meeting's done. So at 4 o'clock, we're gonna have the meeting with Brian and the interviews. And then our regular 5:15 meeting, and we should be adjourned by 6 o'clock.
But if we change our 6 o'clock morning meeting date, we gotta do a lot of changes to the yearly.
Right.
So I really would like to see the board meeting start at 6.
So why don't we say 6:15? Just hold the public hearing as part of the board meeting.
Within the board meeting.
Does that work for everybody?
Yep. Works for me.
Shirley, do you know when or what resolution this would be for 2000, resolution 35?
Okay, motion by Cruz, second by Walker to adopt this resolution. Tentative declaring intent to make certain improvements to Hemker Lane. Any other discussion?
During the board meeting? Yeah.
5:15.
That's the DDA.
That's why I did it with DDA.
No, he just said 4 o'clock.
Well,
Yep, then they've got a 5:15 meeting.
meeting with Brian Sousa and then interviews for the DDA director, and then 5:15, regular DDA board meeting.
So you're going to be done by 6 o'clock?
We'll be done by 6.
Any other discussion? Ready to vote? Shirley, want to call the roll, please?
Kalinowski,
Yes.
Lachinsky,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Carol. Yes. Walker. Yes.
Did you call Terry's name?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, item C is consideration of approval of a resolution of the Charter Township of Fire Board of Trustees pursuant to resolution number 2001-06A and 1954 Public Act 188, as amended, redetermining the total cost of services for the year 2014 and directing the supervisor to extend such costs upon the Horizon Point special assessment role. And that's just a routine action.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Cruz, second by Chmaskey, to approve this resolution. Any further discussion? Call the roll, Trim.
Paul, yes. Machinsky?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Kalinowski?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Darrell? Yes.
Item D is Filer City Fire Hydrant replacement. And that's already been done, right? Are we,
We're done. I'm still waiting for a police report though, on,
okay, so we don't need approval to pay us this time or anything, that's already been done, we're looking for reimbursement from the insurance.
we did get the insurance, well, it's really quite,
From our insurance, we're looking
Yes.
for
we
drivers.
couldn't pay it. And, because it was part of, what they thought their maintenance duties to pay, even though that wasn't different. Our insurance also paid, so, we're waiting to see how this is all going to get handled. So far as the works, we've been paid for the excavating and the 2 hydrants have been paid for, and then some. So, we're working that out.
Really all we're waiting on is to hear, well, you need a police report yet on the driver.
Yes. For one of the insurance companies.
So there's no action that we need to take on that.
Unless there's some other reason that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then I will.
Are you having trouble with these police report? I know that's got the Cadillac.
Yeah, so maybe I have that in there, I should call it again and done over a week.
Well, let me know if you need help on that. Unfortunately, I didn't say the date for the license number or anything, but that should be in the report to the, I call 911. You can get it. Public comment. Any public comment at this time? Okay, any other business to come before the board?
Yeah,
Ed?
forgot to mention that. We've got a problem on 21st Street.
What kind of a problem?
Well, that road is about that much difference than the hydrants, drain and stuff. And somebody, a woman just dropped off of that height and tore her whole exhaust system out of her car. And if somebody goes down, they're gonna hit a pole or something. We're gonna have a lawsuit against us.
21st Street is, the elevation is
Way
or so higher than
Our
the
new road man.
shoulder.
Actually, the lawsuit would be against the guy.
It's one of our roads.
It's his road, it's not our
It's the only road, right?
Right, that's a
Well,
problem.
I've only been there 2 days, I don't know how the roads yet, so. But it's on 21st.
I don't think that.
21st is right, yeah.
Huh?
He said 21st Street.
Right, 21st?
Yeah, 21st, and what is this?
That's Murky Road, really. But,
21st goes into Murphy Road and goes across the highway.
Yeah, on the west side of 31, it's
Behind Walgreens.
Ricky Road, and on the east side of the highway, it is 21st Street.
Okay, so it's east of 31.
It's behind Walgreens.
Yeah.
Come up to Nelson Street out of there.
Oh, okay. Did anybody call the road commission? Have a look at?
3-4 years ago. It's just ignored all the time.
Like anything a judge would, right?
Sure.
But somebody's gonna get hurt, really.
What, can you tell me the specific location so we can check it out?
Right?
Is it the entire length, or is it just?
No,
this
it's just right there
east
by
end?
that intersection.
The intersection of
Yes, and down maybe the
21st
second house.
and Filer City Road or Nelson?
Vine,
Line.
Vine Street.
No, not down the mine.
No, Vine and Murphy?
No. It's Nelson Street and 21st, the intersection right there.
Oh,
Oh,
right,
it's at
Nelson,
the intersection,
Nelson.
it's not behind Walgreens then?
No.
Okay.
It's just down the street here then.
Intersection of Nelson Street and 21st Street. Okay,
First of all, we gotta know who owns the road there.
not us.
Well, both Filer City Road and Nelson and 21st Street are primary roads from what I was told.
Yeah.
Your problem,
There you go. I'm used to that. As long as it's a county certified road, we'll check it out. Is it like right at the intersection? I mean,
Very
where she had a
No,
problem, you're
it's
saying it's
about
low?
2 houses down
Okay,
from the,
2 houses to the west.
yes.
okay.
That's been brought up before.
Areas or from problems?
Probably, my grandma's is where it's been, well, that's where she had her whole exhaust system tore off. There's some drop like that over there. I don't know what they do with that.
So when we check it out, should we respond back to you?
Yeah, that'd be
Okay,
fine.
fine. Okay, so all after the meeting, I'll get your phone number.
Okay,
Okay?
then I'll report to the board.
There you go. Yeah.
Anything else come before the board?
Commissioner, good job, you know, that, I'll be doing.
If not, then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.